Welcome to J Lowe Artist YouTube channel. Today we'll be doing some drawing with graphite. So get out your pencils, your cotton swab, kneaded eraser, anything that you think you need to draw with. Have it right handy. And let's draw together. Remember, art makes life better. Thanks for being willing to draw with me. I know that drawing is not as easy as you'd like to think it should be. But hopefully, after we're all done, you're going to find that drawing is a little easier and a little nicer and a little more enjoyable to do because you've learned some techniques. The first thing I want to talk about is composition. How you compose it. How do you know where to put stuff? You don't want your object floating in the middle of your page. That's very boring. And so when you're composing things, you're going to use this number 2 pencil. I don't know if you know anything about pencils, but your number 2 pencil usually has an HB there. The HB is part of a softness scale. HB is right in the middle. It's not hard, it's not soft, it's right in the middle. Whereas on a nice drawing pencil, it should have a soft scale. This one is just tells you it's jet black, extra smooth. This is a very soft pencil. It would be considered like a 7 or 8B pencil. This is what we're going to get our contrast with, our really dark darks. So I'm going to set that aside for now. In doing our layout, we're going to be drawing with the side of our pencil. So if nobody's ever taught you how to draw before, forget what you think you know and try this. And I know it feels weird and it seems strange, but you kind of hold your pencil like you're showing it to somebody. Say, oh, hey, look at my pencil. And then you just turn your wrist over. So you may want to say, well, I want my object somewhere towards the top. Maybe the top of his head is going to be up in there somewhere. And maybe the bottom of him, he's going to be down here somewhere. That establishes the size of our object. And then you can say, well, okay, where is that going to go? You know, what's the simple shapes you see? Start out with the overall shape of the thing. Kind of bean shaped, you know, so you can kind of come up and say, okay, that's where it's going to go. Then you say, okay, how big is his head compared to the rest of his body? It's probably about 1/3. And so if I do this little circle here and say, okay, there is his head, that's about the size of his body, and his ears are like these little ovals that kind of come up there too. And because we're using the side of our pencil, everything here is easily erasable. His eyes are about right in the middle of that circle. And so if you kind of come right to the middle, you can make yourself a little line or a little dot. There's one eye. The other one's kind of over here. And right in the middle is that little oval nose. And even his little mouth is kind of a little oval. His back is kind of, there's a little hump there over his back. His little haunches kind of comes down. And you just kind of throw those in. Now, if they're not in the right place, that's okay. Right now, we're just establishing where everything goes. Okay, we have to have a point of reference. There's his foot. A little comes up. And so at this point, you kind of look at what you've got and you say, okay, do I need it bigger or smaller, or, you know, what needs to happen to this to make it better? And mine needs to go a little bit bigger, so I'm going to readjust it just a little bit. And you can move it one way or another, left or right, whatever you need. At this point, really, you don't need to erase. If you think to yourself, well, that line is in the wrong place, that's okay. You're going to need graphite anyway. And so you can even just take the side of your pencil and just say, well, okay, since I'm going to need graphite, Let me just scribble in some gray in there. Because he's gray. He's all gray. So you're going to need some graphite in there. And so any place that you have some gray, especially the darkest areas, you may want to put a little bit of that graphite in there. Any place you see gray, just scribble some graphite in there. And all of a sudden, all those little sketchy lines that we first started out with that maybe annoyed you a little bit, they're going away. They're becoming part of that gray of the background or of the object. And I'm just sketching as fast as I possibly can. And part of this is a confidence thing. You know, so often people say, "Oh, I can't draw," and they keep that idea of they can't do it. They hold on to that, and it keeps them from doing good things. Other than saying, "Well, I can't draw it," say, "Well, I don't know how, but I'm going to do my best. I'm going to try." And hopefully, when you're all done, you're proud of yourself, and you're like, "Oh, hey, this is better than I thought it was going to be." So don't be so hard on yourselves either. I think we're really hard on ourselves overall as a species. But because you're using the side of your pencil here, anything that you've drawn can be easily erased. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my kneaded eraser. I'm just going to get rid of a few things, especially areas that are white. His chest. You may, in fact, you may even want to lose some of that edge there so it's just white. Leave it out. And the whole idea is you're just adjusting, adjusting, adjusting until it's pretty close to what it should be. So just lightly sketch it in. If you need to adjust it, do. Just keep adjusting. And try to adjust without erasing. I know that the urge is to erase everything, but try to do it without erasing. Because you got that graphite anyway, might as well just use that graphite to your advantage there. Now, it may look like I'm trying to do details, but I'm really not. All I'm doing is trying to get as much of the darks as I can. But then the darks and lights are your details. So eventually, they'll help add to it. Now, because there's a lot of very light, soft grays in here, you may want to use that cotton swab at the beginning to get some of those lights and darks in there, or lights and grays. You're never going to get really dark. So for example, if I came out here and I thought, oh, okay, I see some very soft, fluffy stuff in there, I can use my cotton swab to pull out some of that very soft, fluffy fur without a lot of effort. I mean, look how soft and fluffy that all of a sudden became. And so as you load graphite onto that cotton swab, you may want to hold on to that cotton swab. You may want to say to yourself, ooh, you know, if I can get some of that light, soft, fluffy stuff in there, look how soft that is. And our little koala, he's very soft anyway. And so this is going to give us our edge, that nice soft fluffy edge. Now look at that little soft fluffy edge. And if you think to yourself, well, Mr. Lowe, that's too dark, you just take your kneaded eraser and go back into it and pull out some little flecky lines that will soften it up. There you got a nice little soft edge. Now, I'm thinking to myself, that's too dark, but I think if I were to darken in this other area, that wouldn't look as dark as it is. And so I'm just going to leave it. I can always go a little lighter or a little darker. But that kneaded eraser over the cotton swab that you kind of blended with, it's going to give you a nice, soft, fluffy edge. Whenever you're drawing fluffy things like koala bears or the like, this cotton swab is really going to be helpful. And so you can take that cotton swab and start blending around. Start drawing with the cotton swab. And this is also going to help you to get your proportions, other things that maybe you don't really think about. Those soft grays that are very lightly put in there. And you can go in little circles or you can go back and forth. And you're going to create kind of a ghost image. It's going to be very light gray. And then we're going to use our 6B pencil to make it punch. Now those little sketchy lines that were in there before, they're starting to disappear. Starting to kind of go away. And don't worry about edges. They take care of themselves. They're gone. Like that ear. That ear is very soft and it's white on the edge. If you think to yourself, well, I need a little bit of something up there, you can take your cotton swab and just ever so lightly put a couple of little gray kinds of lines or shapes in there. And then all of a sudden that edge will come through. It'll be there. And if it's too dark, you can take your kneaded eraser and hit that. Now I'm just smearing around some of that graphite. Nice and light gray. But I want my koala to look fluffy. The only way I can is to make those edges look fluffy. Try that feathered line with your cotton swab. If you take it, you drop it in, you kind of give it a little flip, a little fleck, so the very ends get kind of soft. It'll look more fur-like. That's called a feathered line. There's kind of a little bit of practice in there because it takes a little practice to figure this out. Once you do, it looks very nice. And again, with your cotton swab, you can increase it. You can make it bigger or smaller, whatever. Now, there definitely is lots more that we can do here. Lots more darks that we can put in there. But right now, this is not bad. So this is how we kind of attack everything, whether it's a car or a person or a tree. We kind of start out very simple shapes, Keep it nice and soft. And then add as you go. Sometimes you're going to add a lot more darks. Sometimes you're going to use your kneaded eraser and pull things out. And really, drawing is just a kind of a dance between the two, using your kneaded eraser and your cotton swab or your pencil. And this is just the number 2 pencil. And there's so much more you can do with that 6B. Now, compositionally, we want this thing to come close to touching 3 of the 4 sides. So here it touches the backside. Down here, our composition almost touches that, if not, maybe does. Almost touches the top. But over here, you want enough space that he looks like he can breathe a little bit. So if you're happy with the composition, if you're happy with the way things are looking, take your kneaded eraser and now clean up anything. So any edges, anything that you need to kind of clean up a little bit. Any smudges. Because this is easy to clean up, that kneaded eraser can really do a lot of cleanup here. Because the next thing we do is increase the contrast. We're going to make that thing pop. We want it to really jump off the page. And the thing that's going to do that is your contrast, your darks. So in order to do really good darks, I've got my Ebony Pencil here. And I'm going to use the side of my pencil to get some of those darks in. I'm not trying to get the tight details. There's not any strong edges that I'm trying to get here. So I'm just going to look at the darkest areas and try to get those in. So starting with wherever you want to start. I always get asked, where do you start? I don't know. I like to start with the face, the eyes usually, but his little eyes are kind of hard to see. You can, if you want to, use the tip of your pencil like this. But for me, when I'm shading, especially when I'm smearing, I like to use the side of my pencil. Seems to blend easier. But then again, it's up to you. You're the artist. You get to figure it out. And everybody's going to be a little different too. So now I'm just trying to get those darks where I think the darks need to go. I'm just trying to get the shape of the darks. Sides are a little hard to see, but they're like little tiny footballs, flat footballs. I'm trying to use that feathered line as well. The idea of the feathered line is you kind of you drop your pencil and then you give it a little flick, 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 flick. And here on the edge of the nose, the white part becomes the edge, but there's no line around it. So you just kind of let that white kind of happen. Really hard to see what's going on with his eyes, but I kind of know koala's eyes. Kind of that little football shape, kind of flattened on top. So really hard to see. And then, of course, when you start blending it, all that stuff will kind of come together. Your edges will be nice and soft. Because you have that nice foundation. Again, once you get graphite on that cotton swab, you can draw with it. You can manipulate it. You can move it from one place to another. Now I'm just using my kneaded eraser to pull out some of those really light edges. Some of those edges I can't see. And so maybe I'll just leave just that little bit of gray right there to show where that edge is. Even though I don't see it, it blends into the background. When you're doing longer hair, use that feathered line. Add some pressure to it. Get a little flip, 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 flip. You go back and forth either way. It's the edges, though, that create the soft fluffiness. So leave those edges out and then blend them with your cotton swab, and you got it. When you're doing hair, too, just look at the grays, the darks, kind of do that feathered line in the direction that the hair would flow or the fur would flow, and you got it. Not trying to follow every little hair, just enough. It'd be interesting to note what makes a drawing easy to do or hard to do. Is that the amount of stuff that's in it, like the amount of textures or darks and lights, or is it, if you're familiar with the subject, like a dog, it's easier to do than a cavy or a Bengal tiger or something? Is that what it is? See, for me, if you can see it, you can draw it. Hardest things to draw are things you can't see, because then you have to rely on memory or other people. They're describing it to you. So now I can take my kneaded eraser and just go back in and hit some of those little light areas. Don't be afraid to leave some out too, because that's what's going to make it look fuzzy. Like I say, the further out you get away from the face, the faster you can draw, because people aren't as concerned about those other areas. So they don't look at them as easily or as detailed. I'm just now using the side of my pencil to get some of this texture. I know at first that you kind of look at that and think, gosh, Mr. Lowe, that looks kind of silly. But we're going to blend it. We're going to use that graphite to kind of mix around with it, and hopefully it'll look much better. Look at those soft, fluffy ears. Lastly, you just take your kneaded eraser. You can go in there and just clean up anything you need to clean up. Sometimes it just requires a touch. You just take your kneaded eraser and just touch it. Now that the head's done, the body should go fast. So I'm gonna scribble in some of that darkness in the body. And again, a lot of this we can get with our cotton swab. So just put in the darks, knowing that you're going to be smoothing it out. Using the side of your pencil, that's going to keep it on the surface. Here's the log that he's sitting on. Nobody cares about it. You just kind of put in some texture so your viewer knows it's a log. I know this looks like really sketchy, but remember that we're going to be using our cotton swab, and it will look so much better. And even those feet, don't worry about toes and things. Just do the little darks and lights, and when it's done, it'll look like feet. Just worried about the darks and lights. Again, don't worry about drawing lines around things. Those will happen. So I'm trying to burn through this as fast as I can, just because you can always come back and add more. So then at this point, what I want to do is I want to go in with my 6B pencil and just hit some of the really, really dark areas, and then just leave them. That way, that little bit, and it's not much, but that little bit of darkness will make that pop. And then we're done. I hope you've enjoyed today. Hope it went by quickly and you learned something. I like to say, subject matter doesn't matter what you're drawing, as long as you enjoy it and you're learning from it. Good place for a signature is right either just above the log right there or just below it down in there. It's a good place for a signature. Hopefully you had a fun experience today and learned something maybe, and even tried something that you've never done before. And hopefully somewhere along the way it's made your life a little bit better, because art makes life better.